Hello everyone, myself Shivam. So today we are diving into some essential concept on enhancing visual design with color, typography, and UIX framework. So let me start. So head to my presentation. So first is color theory. To know color theory, first you need to know what is color. Color is the visual perception described through color categories with name such as red, orange, yellow, blue, green. The topic color theory. Color theory is a set of principles used to create harmonious color combinations that are visually appealing and effective in design. It guides how color are chosen, combined, and perceived, and it's also helps in designer evoke emotions, create balance, and communicate message effectively. So the next is color palette. Color palette is basically how it changed the way it looks. Different colors palette having different moods. As an example, you can take red. Red is for love, energy, intensity. And then yellow. Yellow is for joy, intellect, attention, and green. Green is for freshness, safety, growth, and at last purple. Purple is for royalty, wealth, femininity. What are your thoughts on this screen? So let me show you the screens. So first one is Maggie. It is a 2 minute noodle which is famous in India. For the design, it's bright, playful. Mm, color is a high energy and bright recognition, which is great. Primary color is two. One first one is yellow and red, dominating the design. Aligning the Maggie signature brand color. Psychological impact, yellow. Yellow evokes warmth, happiness, and excitement, making the page feel welcoming. And for the red one stimulates aptitude and convey passion, which suits a full band, which is great one. And for the next screen, it's Ocean Health Index homepage. So the design is clean, modern, and well designed. That's great. And color is cool, trustworthy, and thematic. Primary colors various shades of blue dominating the UI, perfect matching the ocean theme. Psychological impact deep blue represents the professionalism and trust calmness. Gradient background mimics an underwater effect that enhancing the emergence. At last, it would be great if you mention me in Discord, and I would like to hear from you guys how design is looking from your perspective. So don't forget to message. So next part is color wheel. Color wheel is a tool that organizes color based on their relationship. It's a foundation of color theory. They are total categorized in three: primary color, which is red, yellow, and blue. And then it's secondary color, created by mixing two primary color, red plus yellow, orange. Second example, yellow plus blue is green. For tertiary colors which is formed by mixing primary and secondary color. For an example, you can take yellow plus orange. Here, yellow is primary and orange is secondary color. At last, primary color cannot be creating mixing other color. So you need to know that. For the next slide, some unique CSS color properties that can create dynamic and visually stunning effect in web design. So first one, mix blend mode, blending element with the background. Mix blend mode property control how an element content blends with the background. Is useful for creating artics, effect, overlay, and interactive visuals. In the example, the element color blend with the background using the multi-mode, making overlapping color mix naturally. And for the second one, it's a backdrop filter, applying glass morphism effect. The background filter properly allow you to apply effect like blur, brightness, and contrast to the background of an element. This is commonly used for creating frosted glass effect. For the code, this code creates a smooth blur effect behind an element, giving it a modern glass-like appearance. And at last, you can also check out the CSS properties on Ambient. For the next slide, it's conic gradient, creating circular color transition. The conic gradient function generates gradients that radiate around a center point, making it perfect for pie chart, color wheel, or background effect. And for the code, This creates a beautiful aerial color transition useful for dynamic UI element or visual effect. And for the last one is light dark. Auto adapting color based on theme. It is very useful for changing the color user experience. The light dark function dynamically select color based on whether the user has light mode or dark mode. Enable enable. This helps in creating adapting design without the extra JavaScript. For the code part, it's color light dark, black and white. This insert text color automatically switches between black and white depending on the user preferred mode, improving readability. And I think you should try all these CSS properties by yourself. It is great to have. CSS logical dimension, a smarter way to style. Unlike traditional width and height properties, CSS logical dimensions allow layout to adapt based on text direction and writing modes. This is useful for multilingual website that supports left to right and right to left RTL scripts. And for the code, instead of using width, height, margin left, or padding right, CSS logical dimension introduce flexible properties that adjust based on text direction for width, uh, based on text direction. And for the code part, I've used for width as the inline size, and for height used block size, and for margin left, I used margin line start. So for the next, why use logical dimension? Adapt to different writing direction, LTR, RTL, vertical automatically, consist layout without extra media queries, ensure responsive future-proof layout without extra CSS adjustment. Here I have taken two examples. First one is English, which is written by left to right, and second one which is written by left to right. It's a great way to use that CSS logical dimension, and you should try it out by yourself. Web topography design in every letter. Web typography is art and practice of arranging text on a website to ensure it readable, accessible, and visual appealing. It is critical aspect of web designing that affect both aesthetic and functionality. Some key components of web typography: fonts, the style of text such as serif, sans serif, script, or display. Kern is the process of adjusting white space. Font size, the relative size of text influencing its readability. Line height, the vertical space between lines of text. Letter spacing, the amount of space between invisible letters. Text alignment, how text is postinated, left, right, center, or justifying. Web-shape fonts, different fonts serve a different purpose. Web-shape fonts ensure text looks consistent across devices and browsers. Here are some examples for website fonts: serif, sans serif, monospace, Arial, Times, and Verdana. Serif fonts are great for paragraph. Sans serif fonts work well for heading, and monospace fonts are ideal for code snippets. And fun fact: typography makes up over 90% of web content, making it a cornerstones for user experience design. Font size. By default, the body text on web pages is 16 pixel, but font size can be controlled by using different units like rem, or percentages. 1 em is equal the base font size, thus 1 em space is proportionally the same way in any size. Sizing text using the em unit is the next most appropriate approach. The em is a true typography unit and was recommended by W3C from the outset of CSS. EMS is a relative unit and act as a multiplier based on next element, parents element. As for H1 is equal to 36 pixels, and H2 is 24 pixel, and H3 goes for 18 pixel, and the paragraph is 12 pixels. Kerning. Kerning is a set of process that involves fine-tuning the horizontal space between letters in order to create a visually balanced and harmonious typeface that catches more eyes. Kerning, basically, we use kerning to give a white space that makes the text a better way look like. Letter spacing. Letter spacing is different from kerning. Hey, letter spacing is CSS proteins sets horizontal space behavior between text characters. This value is added to a natural spacing between characters while reading the text. Positive values of letter spacing cause characters to spread farther apart, while negative values of letter spacing bring characters closer together. As for example, I have taken three paragraphs and applied three different letter spacing properties. For first one is normal. Here you can see as the result letter spacing. And for the second one, I use 0 0.4 m. It looks good. And the third one is 1 m, which makes the letter fall apart, which not looks good. UI UX, the most important topic. When designing a digital product, two critical elements comes into play: UI and UX design. While they are often used in interchangeably, they serve different purpose. Let me break it down with this visual representation. UX design, crafting the user experience. UX UX or user experience design focus on how product feels and how user interact with it. The goal is to create a smooth, intuitive, and satisfying journey for users. Key aspects of UX designs, as you can see left side of the diagram. First is research and analysis, understanding user needs, behavior and expectation through survey, interviews and usability testing. Second, product strategy, defining the product's goals, targets, audience and competitive positioning. Information architecture, structuring content and features logically for easy navigation. Last, not last, testing and iteration, continuously improving the design based on feedback and real world user interaction. Wireframing, creating low fidelity layout to plan functionality and workflows before visual design. UX ensures what user finds value in what you are offering. A well structured UX makes user feels in control and engaged. And second is UI design, crafting the visual interface. UI or user interface design is all about how a product looks and how user interact with it visual elements. Key aspect of use a UI design, for the right side of the diagram. First one is in interactivity and animation, adding motion and effect to enhance engagement. Implementation with developer, ensuring design translate into a functional interface. Adaptation to all devices size, making the design responsive for mobile, tablet, desktop. And UI pattern and components, using standardized elements like button, menus, and cards for consistency. And the last, hi-fi visuals, creating a pixel perfect design with topography, colors, and branding. So UI is like the paint job and dashboard of a car. It makes the experience appealing and easy to navigate. So this is for it. We go ahead to next slide. So we will go deep in user interface design. Good user interface UI focus on making user interaction simple and efficient. And what is clarity in UI first? Clarity is the backbone of effective UI design. A clear interface ensures users can interact with a product effortlessly without confusion or frustration. Let's explore the four key elements that contribute to clarity in designs. Simple and direct language, visual cues, visual hierarchy, and clear and conscious levels. Which total there are four. We should focus on that things. Visual hierarchy. You will read the first and then you will read this line next. At some point, you may come back to read this line or maybe not. So let's analyze the image to understand how visual hierarchy work in action. First, you. This is the first thing you will read. Why? Because it's largest and boldest element on the screen. The color contrast, bright cyan on a dark background also makes it pop. Then you will read You will read this first. This comes next because it's still bold and large, but slightly less prominent than you. And then you will read this line next. The font size is smaller and the color is slightly muted, making it secondary in importance. At some point, you may come back to read this line or maybe not. This is the last thing you will notice. The reason it's small, italicized, and placed away from the main focal points. So, visual hierarchy refers to the arrangement of text elements to indicate their importance. It influences the way user scan and read content, ensuring they grasp key message first. Lack of button style hierarchy. A common mistake in UI design is making all buttons look the same, leading to user confusion. Best practice for button styling: primary button. Use bold color for main example. Submit by now. Secondary button: use softer colors for less critical action. Example: cancel button or go back buttons. Territory button. Minimum styling for optional action. Example: learn more. uh, there commits negative space or white space. White space is not wasted space, it's enhanced readability and visual balance. Benefits of white space: improve focus on key elements, enhance readability, and prevent clutter, create a modern, clean look. As an example, you can take a Apple website extensively use white space to highlight product and create a luxurious feel. So the next is layout. The layout is a structure that supports the visual components of an interface and backbone of UI design. It determines how user interact with the interface. Common layout techniques: grid-based layout keeps elements structured and aligned. F pattern and Z patterns guide user eyes movement naturally. Card-based UI used in dashboard and feeds for easy navigation. As an example, you can take Netflix uses a card-based layout to display content, making it easy for users to browse movies and shows. And for the image, demonstrate how layouts adapt to mobile, tablet, and desktop screen. For mobile layout, on mobile space is limited, so layout follow vertical stack approach. And here comes tablet layout. As we move to tablet layout, we notice a shift towards a split column structure. And at last, on desktop, where the screen real estate is ample, we see a multi-column grid approach. So, so an effective layout should be responsive, intuitive, and visually appealing. By designing the adaptable layout, we ensure a consistent user experience across devices. Whether stacking for mobile, structuring for tablets, or delivering a grid for desktop, layout design plays a vital role in UI. Here you can see there are two images. You can compare both designs. The first one has a messy layout, making it harder to read, while the second one is better layout and looks more appealing, making it easier for users to recognize and understand. Understand as and at last, note: maximalism, a design theory used in Japan, is acceptable for certain cases. I'm talking about the left corner design, which is basically used in Japan. It is often acceptable in some cases. So remember that thing. So here comes user experience design. UX design or user experience design is the process of creating products, system, or service that are straightforward, user-friendly, and meaningfully. Some key aspects: understanding users and their needs, meet the needs of users in a simple and pleasant way, intuitive and satisfying process for the user experience design. So here comes the design thinking process. Design thinking is a structured, iterative approach to solve complex problem by focusing on user needs, unlike traditional problems, which is often linear. Design thinking encourages experimentation, creativity, and continuous learning. The design thinking process can be broken down into four different stages. First stage is inspiration, understanding the problem. Before we can design a solution, we must fully understand the problem. This stage is all about research, observation, and empathy. Getting into the mind of user and identify their real pain points. So second stage is conceptualization, generating and defining ideas. Now that we understand the problem, it's time to generate idea and possible solution. This is the stage where creativity takes a center stage. And third one is iteration, protecting, prototyping and testing. Ideas are great, but they need to be tested. The iteration stage focus on building prototypes, testing them with users, and refining them based on feedback. Stage 4, exposition, presenting and implementing the final solution. The final step is to present, communicate, and launch the solution. This is where we refine the design, gain stakeholder approval, and ensure successful adoption. Why this four stage matters? By following this structured approach, we ensure that we are not just building something that looks cool, but actually creating a solution that makes a difference. So, inspiration ensure we solve a right problem. Stipulation encourage creativity and innovation. Iteration helps define solution based on real user feedback. Exposition ensure successful implementation and adoption. Accessibility. Accessibility in UI/UX design refers to the practice of creating digital interface that can be easily used and understood by people with disabilities. It involves making website, application, and other digital products inclusive and usable for everyone, regardless of their ability or impairments. Practical implementation of accessibility. Color contract. Use a tool like WebAM contracts check to ensure sufficient contracts between text and background. Alternative text. Provide a detailed and informative alternative text for image, videos. Keyboard navigation. Test your website or app. Um, Using only the keyboard to ensure all functions are accessible without a mouse. It's a great approach to be. So the next slide. So at last, thank you for joining me. So bye to all. So thanks. Bye.